No one to play with? There's always PartyPoker.com where the world plays poker.
Last week on the PartyPoker.com European Open, it was a big heads-up battle at the end between two champions, former EPT champ Roland de Wolf and the Hellraiser Yanni Sointula, and the Finn flew through this one. We've got lots more coming up for you as someone gambles to win $125,000. Hello and welcome to the PartyPoker.com European Open. I'm Jesse May, joined by comedian and avid poker player Norman Pace. Now, Norman, you've become a big fan of poker. What do you like about the game?
I think it's the most fun you can have with your trousers on, Jesse. You know, you sit there and you can feel things happening inside your body that you've forgotten about since you were an adolescent, really.
Did you play mostly, or do you play mostly on the internet or live?
Yeah, I think physical constraints mean that most people nowadays do, but as a matter of fact, my wife plays more than I do, and I tend to watch her.
She's become quite good. She's had some very good results. But you played once on television before. When you got down there, how did it feel to be in that live setting?
You know, I've been on television quite a few times over the years, and you're always sort of very conscious of a camera pointing at you. But when you play poker on the telly, after half an hour, you forget completely you're on the TV because the game consumes your thoughts so much that I felt quite relaxed after the first half an hour.
Let's talk a little bit about tells. Now, tells are called, you know, things you can pick up from other people, maybe in addition to the cards, know if they're bluffing or they're not bluffing. Did you pick that stuff up when you were playing?
I tried to. Somebody told me once, a pro told me once, that when people are looking at their cards, don't look at yours, but look at the people who are looking at the cards, the other players at the table. And particularly when the flop comes down, if your head's up against somebody, watch them and their reaction to the flop, rather than looking at the flop yourself and being too concerned whether you've hit it.
One person who knows a lot about tells, he says he can see into the other players' souls, is former world champion Phil Hellmuth.
So, you want to improve your reading abilities? Do you want to know when they're weak? Then you have to trust your instincts. It's all about instincts. There are certain tells that you can use. For example, the steeple. Almost every time someone does the steeple without moving their mouth, they have the hand. If they're trying to do the fake steeple, then in general they'll go, that means they're weak. But the steeple is a strong indicator that they have a strong hand. How do you tell when they're bluffing? Look for things that they wouldn't normally do. If you can see the person's eyes, if their eyes start to expand, they have the hand. If they constrict, they don't have the hand. That's how you can tell if a card hits someone. If you don't have access to their eyes, watch whether they lean backwards or forwards after the flop. If they lean forwards, it usually means that they hit the flop and they're engaged. If they lean backwards, it usually means that they've missed the flop and they're getting ready to, you know, whatever. They haven't made their mind up exactly what they're going to do, but it usually means that they've missed. There's all kinds of little physical things that you can learn about people. Watch someone during a hand when you're pretty sure that they have it, and watch the way that they act. In other words, you know for some reason that they have it. Watch all of their motions and remember those motions. Do the same thing when you don't think they have the hand. Watch all of their motions. Learn to trust your instincts.
Wise words from Phil Hellmuth, who's an advocate of the statue and the tank. When he goes into the shell, he says he never moves a muscle.
I've watched him and he doesn't, but lots of players do, don't they? Lots of players kind of fidget in their seat. Or the one that gets me is when somebody puts their chips into the middle in a really strong bet. What do you think? Are they strong or are they weak?
I mean, Mike Caro, obviously, he's called the father of tells, wrote the book of tells, and he says strong means weak. So if someone is trying to gain notice by putting their chips in strong, then that means that they're bluffing. And on the other side of the coin, if someone is trying to not gain notice, to be inconspicuous, to hide from their opponents while they put their chips in, that would be the sign of a strong hand. But there's false tells, aren't there?
Well, there are. You know, it always worries me. You think you've got to tell on somebody. You've been sitting at a table for 4 hours. You think, oh, yeah, he's strong. And so you put your chips in and you lose. So I think there's a double-edged sword to tells.
And I mean, one of the things the internet has shown is that there is a huge technical side to the game, and that maybe betting patterns are the biggest tell of them all.
Yeah, I also think, I would say, Jesse, that it's best to watch your opponents watching the cards rather than looking at your own cards. That's probably a good way to find out if they're strong or weak.
So pay attention, but don't jump over the cliff too soon. Anyway, the players tonight will be hoping to pick up signs from their opponents while not giving off any aura of their own. Let's see who's in the seats tonight and where they'll be dealt. Sweaty lineup. Norman, what do you think's going to win the day? Survival or aggression?
Controlled aggression. Sit there in the early rounds, get aggressive later on. The person who wins this will not be passive, Jesse.
Join us after the break when the cards will be dealt here at the PartyPoker.com European Open.
No one to play with? There's always PartyPoker.com.
Just about ready for the fish fry. Myself and Norman Pace will be guiding you through, so let's get over to the table where some titans will try to terrorize.
Players beginning with 100,000 in tournament chips, red, blue, and yellow. And the blinds are going to be starting here at 1 and 2,000. So Robert Cooper, Jack 10 suited under the gun.
Yeah,
Raised
normally want to see a
5,000
flop with that,
Pass.
but Robert's raising.
2 plus 3 is 5. And Joe's got the same kind of hand.
Yeah, Joe looks like he's going to
Call.
call that, yeah.
They don't call him Chicken Joe because he's scared.
Pass.
He likes to see a lot of flops and he can stand a lot
Pass.
of pressure.
Ken Broad sitting with
Pass.
10-7 suited there. Some players would play that, though, wouldn't they, in this position?
I think he probably could have stood to see a flop. He may have decided he does not want to get involved before he has a read on the other players. And Bob Cooper giving Chicken Joe the hard stare down before the flop. If the case 10 hits,
Robert Cooper hits top pair on the flop there, and he's going to bet out a
5,000.
5,000 bet.
Call.
Joe's got an up and down straight draw. 7 or queen would hit him nicely. So there could be some fireworks here, especially if the 7 comes.
Yeah, it might slow his opponent down a bit, though, don't you think? Oh, no, it's a blank.
5,000.
Rob's just kind of tickling this pot. There's 23,000 in there. He's only bet 5,000. And it seems like Joe's just happy to just see the river without raising.
Yeah, Robert's still a big favorite in this hand.
Check. 10,000.
Robert's going to call
Call
it.
and declare.
He won't like it.
No, he's not. Did very well to check on the river there. It's got a good spidey sense there, Robert Cooper. But no prize for that because the pot going to Chicken Joe Kwame.
I think in America, don't they call it sucking out or something like that, Jesse?
Yeah, they do. There's a lot of names for it. But all of them will have Robert Cooper slamming his chips down. Let's check out the ranking of hands. Each 5-card poker hand falls into the official ranking of poker hands. Bottom of the ladder is high card only. A pair just above that, and 2 pair is higher still. 3 of a kind is 3 of a number, a straight. 5 cards in a row of any suit. A flush is 5 cards of the same suit in any order. Full house, 3 of a kind plus a pair. 4 of a kind is self-explanatory, and a straight flush is 5 cards all in a row of the same suit. Royal flush is top of the pops. That's a straight flush.